guys.
Hi,
Julian, hello.
Hi, how are you?
we're doing good. How are you?
Well,
Good. So, Shirley, if you could tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Shirley He. I am the director of the documentary Échale Ganas, the VS Taco story. I am a documentary filmmaker. Currently, I am based in Northern California, the Bay Area. I am currently pursuing my MFA in documentary directing at Stanford University. Before that, I made this. I directed and co-produced this documentary with Ulysses when I was living in LA after graduating from USC.
and I'm Ulysses Salcido. I was the cinematographer and producer on Échale Ganas, the VS Taco story. I am in a master's program at Cal State LA for anthropology, cultural social anthropology. And I teach at USC 2 sections on visual anthropology, exploring culture through film.
I was wondering, what inspired you to make this film?
Yeah, so honestly, it was by chance that we encountered Victor and his tacos. Um, I always have a strong interest and passion for food and food studies growing up in China. Food has always been a huge part of my family. My family, none of them are professional chefs, but I really grew up eating a lot of food and watching my family cooking. And coming to America as an international student, taste and food has become a major part in my life, kind of bridging the gap between, living my life living here and also homesick, feeling that I miss home. And food has become this vehicle for me to kind of translate or transform my homesickness. And it's like really comforting for me. And I've been going on a quest finding some good food in LA until there's one day when I was just watching some YouTube videos online that I come across this short video about Vias Tacos. At the moment, they have not won the champion of LA Taco Madness competition. But I just saw the video and I was so intrigued by the presentation of their tacos. They have this 7 layers of very intriguing, colorful looking tacos that I just never seen in any street tacos. And I just went to Highland Park and tried their tacos. I was so blown away by how good it tastes. And I just went up to Victor and asked if I can make a documentary about them. And that's how we started. And also got to work with Ulysses, which we took a class together back at USC. And it's really amazing to reconnect with him and work on this film together.
How about you, Ulysses?
Yeah, I can add on to that. Joining Shirley in this quest for this amazing taco was different. At first I was weary because growing up in LA and thinking I knew the street food scene, I was like, hey, I would have heard of this taco vendor, but it was during the pandemic and a lot was going on, to be honest. And I had not ventured to Highland Park very much. And so when I first saw the family in the backyard, I knew there was something special here. I knew it was going to be delicious. And it was something unique. It's LA style taco, an 8-layer taco. And, making the film, it was special to not only show off the taco, show off the family, but really represent Latino culture, Latino food in LA. Because since the 80s, we always had a white savior mentality with our films. When it came to documentaries, we're not really representative very much in LA. And when it comes to the street food, you usually get the food, but not the place or the people. And working with Shirley, she made sure that we had the people and the place in this story to make it really complete. And so using that anthropology background, like Shirley spoke on, I really paid attention to ritual, kinship in the family, and how that related to me growing up. And I really tried to make that translate on camera.
So I was also wondering, what was your biggest challenge while making this film?
I think in my opinion, I think the biggest challenge at first was finding the story. We knew the taco was delicious. We knew there was something special there, but we spent our first few days interviewing customers, and it was supposed to be very customer centric. And it was all about what the customers felt about the family, their experience, how different this ordering system was. But shortly after, maybe a week and a half to maybe even a month later, we noticed that there's an actual story here, and we started getting, you know, on that path towards the story, instead of just like trying to figure out. We were taking professors a lunch, inviting them over to the set, and just getting as much help as we could. And with all that help, we did find our way. But that was definitely challenging. Is what's the story?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. I have just thinking back right now, I feel like we spend a lot of time just trying to narrow. Actually, we spend a lot of time exploring what might be the topic of this film, because even though the film is so centered on this one object, which is the tacos, this taco actually embodies a lot of different topics, including the community, Victor as a character, Victor's connection with his community, how he had helped the community through making his tacos, the gentrification happening in the neighborhood, the Latino culture, intergenerational lineage, how food has been, the food and recipe is continued through generations. There's so many more topics that can be explored in this one little taco. But I think we really spent a lot of time just trying to figure out what is the story structure of the film. How are we going to figure out the skeleton of the film, and hopefully not to put in too much information that the audience won't be able to digest. Yeah, I think that's one problem that we were facing when mostly during the production and post-production of the film. And also during post-production, because we did a lot of oral history interviews, just interviewing Victor and also his family. There's one part of the film where his dad is talking about his immigration story, crossing the border, and also grandmother is talking about their immigration stories. So I think one of the hardest part in making this film is how do we visualize these stories that has happened in the past? How do we put these very intimate experience in visual language, and how do we use film to tell the story? And by constructing the story with our animators, I think, yeah, it was definitely challenging, but also a very rewarding experience. And I think after we shared the animation with our characters, our subjects, they also are, like their experience are validated, which I think is like, for us, very validating as well as filmmakers.
And Ulysses, you kind of spoke this already a little bit, but what was your experience with the subject matter before you guys started production?
I'm a foodie, especially when it comes to tacos. Living in LA, how can you not eat tacos, right? But most specifically, being a street photographer, being, you know, into anthropology and cultures, I'm always in those streets of LA, whether it's also running, skateboarding. So I know my back streets, I know the popular places, and I have since a kid, since growing up in East LA, hanging out outside with my dad. It's just tacos and food is a part of me. And so through this journey, it was really, you know, discovering my own identity as well as Victor and his family. Because I learned something new. I learned something new about him and his kinship network, and learned more about my culture and more of my identity. And I started leaning into, you know, not only just understanding tacos as they were, but how they fit into communities, cultures, traditions, etc. And now, you know, food is really a part of my pedagogy in teaching and documentary work now. But I'm really happy to be able to, you know, put my own knowledge out there when it came to tacos. And you kind of see that in the animation when we're showing off the different styles of tacos in LA, the different taco vendors that are showcased in the film. You know, I gave Shirley about 20-25 different shots of taco vendors and their trucks. And, you know, we were able to fit a few of them in just to show what LA really is like, what our scene really looks like at sunset, at sunrise, and at 12 in the afternoon when people need tacos. It was a really nice experience to just show off my city. And as one viewer said, it's like a love letter to LA. And it was by accident, but it happened.
And how about you, Shirley? Did you have any experience with the subject matter?
Honestly, no. I have to say that I was not that. I mean, I ate tacos before making this film, but would never say that I loved tacos before this film. And it was because of making this film that I developed this palate for tacos. And because during the production of Échale Ganas, we were eating at Via's Tacos almost every single day, or at least every single weekend during post-production. So I probably had like, I don't know, 100 plates of tacos within 6 months. And yeah, I wasn't even that knowledgeable about the taco culture and the food truck culture in Los Angeles at all before making this film. So for me, everything was really fresh, and I was learning as we go. Which working with Ulysses was really amazing with his knowledge with Latino food culture, and I think for us to collaborate together, I was able to bring some of my background in anthropology and also my own cultural background as a Chinese person. And because food is such a big part of my culture as well. So our original idea to make this film was to have a story that is not only specific for a LA-based audience, but also audience for the whole country and also internationally, because we think that food is able to the passion for food can be translated without a boundary of language and cultures.
That's absolutely right. So what impact are you hoping to have, or what impact have you already had with this film?
One of the first things, that comes to mind right away is not only did we salvage some of the, family stories, because a lot of the family members did not know there was a house burning incident, and a lot of the families did not know the immigration story. So I think number one impact right at the family level is that we were able to save these stories and tell them, number one. Number two, for the community and Victor as well, he's gotten more popularity and more fame, but also he's been able to reach for those goals and actually achieve some of those goals. So he won $100,000 grant from a beer company to start his own restaurant, his first brick and mortar. And so he's looking for his location now, but that's huge, for him to receive that big grant right away is amazing. He's also had more pop-ups in the city where it's not just him on York. He's been established and represented in other parts of the city, which is amazing. And Shirley, please, with Mitch Moore.
Yeah, I think so far I would say that, so first of all, our intended impact for the film is to showcase this one-of-a-kind Latino community leader, and hopefully to inspire any other young people in a community who might want to do something similar, become an entrepreneur. Because Victor, he's 28-year-old right now. He's like relatively really young for the amount of things that he's doing and amount of impact that he has already been made. And we really want to have kind of situate this film within the community. And that's why we did our premiere in the community. And right now the film is playing in the Highland Park Film Festival. So yeah, we are really focusing on having an impact in the community at least, because Victor, his taco trust is actually really situated in the community, and he's spent a lot of effort helping the community. So I kind of see our film as a supplementary effort helping the Highland Park and East LA community at large. And at the same time, we are also hoping to bring awareness to the redlining policy and housing problem in East LA in general, and also kind of highlight that there are racism embodied in the housing policies and gentrification right now. Yeah, so our film has been invited to screen at the Plaza de Cultura y Arts. Ulysses, could you help me if I pronounce that right?
Yes,
But yeah, we have also screened the film at different classroom in universities. Had a lot of discussion with students in college, which is really amazing to see how this film can also be situated in the educational environment. Yeah, and we hope to do more screenings in that space and hopefully having more discussion with people in the community as well.
Yeah, I would say the biggest feedback that we receive is that our audience learns for the first time about redlining in their own backyards, which is something important, especially right now as we're talking more and more about social political conditions. And number two, not only are we showing them in screenings and film festivals and conferences and at universities, but we're able to have Victor speak at them as well and have his daughter up there in front of the stage. So it's a really special time, not only for us and the film, but for the family as well, being able to be on stage, share their memories to their own family and the audiences. It's something unique that we're both very proud of.
You two are so impressive, and this film is amazing. What's next for you two?
Right now, we're both working also on another food documentary. We're not producing or directing it, but we're part of the team, which is really nice. And it's a food documentary on 10 grandmothers and their immigration story. We're connecting food as well there and cultural materials. And then we're working on our own independent film, hopefully coming soon, that Shirley can speak on next.
Yeah, Ulysses and I, we have been working on another short documentary, hopefully becoming a feature documentary about, I can't say much about it, but it's a documentary discussing the relationship between motherhood and grief and death. That will come soon. And right now I'm working on Bolek's film for the first time, featuring this fortune cookie factory in San Francisco, Chinatown, discussing the relationship between what it means being a Chinese American and the experience of being an immigrant and the alienation and disassociation within a place.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you so much.
Thank you.
They're really amazing questions. Thank you.
Appreciate it.